Today's business environment is full of challenges: climate change, technology disruption, political conflict, economic uncertainty, hybrid work, new business models, and trade tariffs. Climate change is one of the most urgent global challenges of our time, fueled by decades of industrialization and fossil fuel-based transportation that have caused a sharp rise in greenhouse gas emissions. Gases like carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and industrial pollutants such as HFCs, PFCs, and NF3 trap heat in the atmosphere, a process known as the greenhouse effect, driving global temperatures upward. The consequences include extreme weather, rising seas, ecosystem collapse, and growing threats to food, water, and public health. At our current pace, humanity consumes resources equivalent to 1.7 Earths per year. If this continues, we'll need the resources of 3 Earths by 2050. Indonesia has started rolling out climate-related regulations since 2017. The latest regulation in 2024 addressed the implementation of carbon storage activities. Indonesia has affirmed its strong commitment to climate action, aiming to achieve net zero emissions potentially before 2050. This is causing a shift in industry and business models. Supply chains are disturbed due to attempts to lower emissions. Operation cost increase, global variability, long-term financial implications due to penalties. These carbon emission regulations are actively reshaping how companies must operate, from unlocking access to government incentives to facing new market expectations and even enduring operational disruptions. Organizations must now rethink their supply chains, product strategies, and entire business models. For data centers, the urgency is even more pronounced. With 24/7 operations, backup diesel generators, and intensive cooling systems, data centers are under rising scrutiny. Indonesia has introduced several carbon regulations that will directly affect data centers. IDPRO's Green Data Center standards push for a 50% reduction in the electricity consumption by 2030 through mandatory audits, energy efficiency, and renewable integration. 2023 government regulations requires businesses with high energy use or large physical footprints to report energy management. Major data center projects in West Java and Batam will soon fall under this regulation. And Financial Services Authority mandates that carbon credits must be officially registered and traded on licensed exchanges. These regulations impact data centers operationally, financially, and strategically. From mandatory audits to carbon taxes and green power requirements, the message is clear: compliance is necessary. A green data center is purpose-built for efficiency and sustainability, using less energy, minimizing environmental impact, and incorporating clean technologies like renewable power, efficient cooling, and e-waste recycling. As one of the largest energy consumers globally, the data center industry has a pivotal role to play. Green data centers not only reduce emissions and cost, but also help organizations meet ESG targets and align with national climate commitments. Failing to meet new carbon regulations can now lead to financial penalties and compliance risks. More than that, if you're exporting to international markets, especially Europe, you're expected to meet strict environmental standards. Green certifications are becoming a requirement to access supply chains, form partnerships, and stay competitive. For data centers, this means being ready for audits, taxes, and carbon credit systems, especially as emissions and electricity usage soar with AI and cloud computing. To effectively manage carbon emissions, it's important to understand how they are categorized. Scope 1 covers direct emissions from sources a company owns or controls, like company vehicles or on-site fuel combustion. Scope 2 includes indirect emissions from the energy a company buys, such as electricity or district heating. And Scope 3 is the most complex, including all other indirect emissions across the value chain, such as purchased goods, supplier operations, transportation, and even employee commuting. For most sectors, Scope 3 emissions make up the vast majority. These emissions are often hidden, yet they represent the largest piece of the carbon puzzle that companies must address. Scope 3 emissions can account for up to 75% of a company's total carbon footprint. Because they involve third-party suppliers, logistics, and customer use, organizations often lack visibility and control. Tracking Scope 3 emissions accurately requires robust data systems and collaboration across supply chains. Internally, companies face challenges like data collection, ensuring data accuracy, managing climate commitments, and tracking progress. Externally, they must set realistic reduction targets, overcome budget constraints, align suppliers, and prove their impact to regulators and stakeholders. Without the right systems in place, the cost and complexity of net zero can quickly become overwhelming. This is where the right carbon management software becomes critical. The right tools can help organizations not only navigate these challenges, but turn them into actionable strategies toward a net zero future. It enables organizations to collect extensive data across all three scopes, especially Scope 3. For data centers, the software emphasizes tracking refrigerant use and energy consumption. Given that approximately 70% of data center emissions are indirect, this level of detail is essential. It captures detailed information on different refrigerant types based on equipment used, helping data centers monitor ozone-depleting and high global warming chemicals. The tool handles inputs from energy bills, renewable energy sources, and meter data, distinguishing electricity used for cooling from general operations, a key factor for data centers. It starts with spend-based estimations and evolves to detailed, component-based tracking for accuracy. Metrics like server utilization and sales impact are also considered. Once data is uploaded, the tool automatically generates reports categorizing emissions by source, type, and scope. It also helps identify emission hotspots. Organizations can set carbon reduction goals for each asset, such as servers, batteries, and compare them to actual performance. The tool visualizes gaps and suggests supplier-level action. Beyond just tracking, the software forecasts future emissions based on planned initiatives, helping companies assess ROI and align with net zero targets. The software aligns with ISO standards and European regulations, such as CSRD and CBAM, supports lifecycle analysis, and integrates IoT sensors and supplier engagement to offer real-time granular carbon data. What sets Real Green apart is its end-to-end carbon intelligence system. It starts by measuring emissions and mitigation efforts, then moves to reporting through standardized, accessible formats. Next, the data is verified for accuracy and reliability. But Real Green goes further by enabling organizations to forecast their carbon performance, set long-term sustainability goals, and adjust strategies in real time. Environmentally, green data centers reduce carbon emissions, conserve resources, support global climate goals, and tackle e-waste, making sustainability part of their core function. Operationally, green data centers are built for efficiency, reliability, and scalability, enabling easier compliance with energy and carbon regulations while keeping systems stable and future-ready. Financially, these facilities offer lower operating costs, reduced exposure to carbon taxes, and better access to green financing, all while delivering higher returns over time through long-term savings. And strategically, green data centers enhance brand reputation, attract eco-conscious partners, future-proof against regulation, and appeal to talent who value sustainability, contributing to long-term competitiveness. Green data centers offer clear advantages: lower emissions, greater efficiency, and long-term savings. But to achieve those benefits, organizations need visibility, accuracy, and the ability to act on their data. Tech giants like Google and Microsoft now are leading the way for green reporting, including keeping track of their data centers. Following their lead, more data centers are recognizing the need for deeper visibility into their emissions and smarter sustainability strategies. Real Green helps make that possible by simplifying complex reporting, supporting Scope 3 measurement, and turning carbon data into meaningful action. Ready to take the next step? Contact us to see how we can support your transition to a smarter, greener data center.